Joining us now is a legend. One of hip-hop's pioneers, credited for discovering talent such as Grandmaster Flash, Curtis Blow, Run DMC, and that's just to name a few. Most recognizably, he is known for discovering Latin hip-hop, that's right, that's now known as freestyle music, producing concerts for over 30 years with another one coming up Saturday, actually this Saturday, March 4th at Lehman Center. No, that's next Saturday, excuse me. Next Saturday, March 4th at Lehman Center for the Performing Arts. And we welcome the godfather of freestyle, Sal Abbatiello. Yeah. That was like the grand introduction.
Good job. Just the way I wrote it.
Well, you know, I got to show you up. I got to show you up. Thank you for finding time in your busy schedule to make it here today. Oh my goodness. You know, I got to tell you, I don't think people even realize the extent of the work that you have done just in all these years, not just for hip hop, not just for freestyle, but for the Bronx in general, And so I'm just curious to know, like, for what motivates you?
Well, you know, I was born here, went to All Hallows High School on Concourse, went to grammar school, and I'm just a Bronx boy, and that's what motivates me. I love the people that live here. And, you know, I just love making people happy. So, you know, it's cool. Love music. When you love music and people, man, life is good.
Well, you know, I actually, I read your book, which is your bio. Mijo, you should really just make it into a book. And I was really in awe over everything that you have accomplished in all these years and how you continue to contribute in the way that you do. And I don't know if people even know that, you know, your origins are from like a skating rink here in the Bronx. Yeah. And that everything that you do is always in the Bronx. And so let's just give everybody a little bit of insight as to how this all came about in your own legendary world.
Well, you know, my family came here from Italy, and my grandparents, and they settled here in the Bronx, the South Bronx, 149 3rd Avenue, opened up a grocery store. Uncles had butcher shops, and my dad opened up a neighborhood bar on the corner on 149 3rd Avenue. And my mother moved here too, Washington Avenue, so my whole roots is here. And my family was, you know, very community based, right. And they always did. So I grew up in that, and I grew up around music. So in the bar, when my family was doing terrible, I'd be in the bar, you know, and the music was on, Chubby Checker and Motown and R&B and jazz. So I grew up around that, and I grew up in an urban neighborhood. So I played a lot of basketball. You know, I grew up in the streets, and so you have that love for sports and music. And, you know, that's why I try to tie my life into sports, music, and education. And I think when you put those three together, you know, you really have a good community base.
I mean, just because you brought the sports in, and I hope you don't mind, just because I read the book of Sal Abbatiello, it's like, it's fascinating also that you actually find the time to be a coach, and you actually assisted your sons with scholarships. One gained one for basketball, the other one for baseball. Yeah. When do you sleep?
Well, I coached 20 years, but I'm most proud of, we started the Rutgers League in 1977. You know, we started that basketball league at Mount Morris Park, and it's still going on today. It's I think it's 40 years now straight, and I won the first MVP in 1977.
Well, congrats.
Disco Fever played, the name of my club played Sugar Hill Records, and it's been going on for 40 years, 4 decades later. So that's another landmark. The skating ring was on 72nd and Jerome, right off Mount Eden. There was a park across the street that was run down, and we rebuilt the entire park for the community. We started the McCombs Youth Association. So I try to tie in all my fundraisers with kids, you know. Like I said, sports, education, and music, you know, those are the most 3 important things that, you know, for our community to have a good time and have family base.
So where do you get your inspiration from, and how do you decide what you're going to involve yourself in? Because you've also been involved with fundraising for cancer. I know that you also did something for a young lady who was homeless, and you have your own foundation. I mean, it's just like...
Actually, last night we had a fundraiser. I just came from it. I haven't slept. We had a bowling event, and we sold out the whole 20 lanes. And we donate the money to Happiness is Camping, which is Kids for Cancer. So I send kids from the Bronx to a summer camp just for kids with cancer. We built a studio at the Children's Aid Society in honor of Erica Roman, who was one of my foster kids that lived with me. And unfortunately, she passed away. She got into a car accident in about 8 years ago. And the partner that I started the foundation with, Vivian Rivera, was a Bronx girl. She passed away of breast cancer like a year and a half later. So I put their names together, and that's what I do it for.
And you honor them.
Yeah.
By helping or trying to find the actual
So last
cure.
night it was beautiful. We had all, I mean, last night there was 120 people there, and most of them all teenagers that still follow me that used to go to my club. I had a club on Tremont and Webster called the Devil's Nest, where we discovered freestyle. And then had a famous nightclub that discovered hip hop in the streets, brought it indoors, called the Disco Fever. It was in the movie Crush Groove. And, you know, so everything's documented and all the stuff we did. And I just had the eye for finding talent. So that's what I've been blessed with.
Yes, and you've been blessed to give it back to our community. That's the real blessing.
Well,
right
we should
there.
be proud. I mean, we discovered hip hop and freestyle here in the Bronx. I mean, and that's something nobody could take from us.
I'm really curious to know how you were able to find what was referred to as Latin hip hop, like what that transition was of being in the hip hop realm and then finding this niche.
Well, you know, I started hip hop indoors in 1977. I brought Cool Herc indoors, Grandmaster Flash. We discovered Run DMC and so, Fat Boys and stuff. So after 10 years of being open, we were open for 10 years, 7 nights a week. That's 3,500 nights of hip hop. And unfortunately, when the movie came out, Crush Groove, they wind up closing us up on the technicality. We didn't have a cabaret license. So I was wondering what I was going to do, and I was sitting in the park, just like where I found Grandmaster Flash. And I see these Puerto Rican kids breakdancing, and there was a DJ there. His name was Little Louis Vega, and he was tied up to the pole, the light pole like Flash was. And I was like, oh, damn. Latin hip-hop, Latin hip-hop. And I happened to have a club that was a Latin club at the time called Voices, and Ralph Mercado, legendary Ralph Mercado, was the promoter there. And he just happened to leave the week before, and the club went down from 1,000 people to 0, and I brought that indoors, and, you know, I brought in the movement. You know, hip-hop was a young urban movement that, you know, with a lifestyle and the whole clothing and the breakdancing, and so was Latin hip-hop. So we brought it indoors. I made the first record, Please Don't Go by Niobe, who's a Bronx girl. So everything's been Bronx-based, but now it's world famous.
Yeah, and somehow, through the graces, you've also been able to rejuvenate it on a scale of bringing it to Radio City Music Hall, and of course, next week here at Lehman Center.
What happened was, freestyle died right away. It came out in like 84, 85. It died in about 92, 93. So I had a great 7, 8 year run. And through the early 90s, all through the 90s, it's kind of like petered off. And I reinvented it, which was amazing, to reinvent the same music you discovered in 2000, 2001 at the famous Copacabana. And I did my birthday party there, and 5,000 people showed up. And then we realized the music, maybe the artists alone have a hard time packing it, but when you put them together as a unit, 10, 12, 15 of them together, they sell the concerts out. And we went to the Garden, we went to Radio City, Mohegan Sun. You know, we've been all over the country. They're selling out. And Lehman, there's our 11th year sellout. 11 years straight.
Nice. Well, we're looking forward to that.
And I love it, the Bronx. This is our favorite show.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's home.
Yeah. Well,
and the audience is loud.
We love that you, no matter where you go, no matter what you've done, that you always make sure that the economy comes back
home,
here.
baby.
Bring it home. Bring it home.
Yeah, well, they deserve it.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you for being here with us, Sal. Are there any last words you want to share with our viewers?
No, just come out this Saturday. And we're also having May 6th, Hip Hop Fever reunion. So all the original hip hoppers from back in the day, like Rakim's going to be there, and Sugar Hill Gang, and Soul Sonic Force, and, you know, a lot of Black Rob. So we got about 15 acts. So that's going to be exciting, May 6th.
Yeah, well, it's going to be exciting when you become a Bronx Walk of Famer. All right. Sal
That's another topic.
That's another segment. Once again, thank you again, Sal. Forever Freestyle is happening on Saturday, March 4th at 8 p.m. at Lehman Center, located on 250 Bedford Park Boulevard, West in the Bronx. And for more information, please visit lehmancenter.org.